Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Forgive them, they know not what they do. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Forgive them, they know not what they do. Today, Father, forgive them. You will be with me in paradise. Forgive them. You will be with me today. Today, Father, forgive them. You will be with me in paradise. Forgive them. You will be with me today. Today, Father, forgive them. You will be with me in paradise. Forgive them. You will be with me today. Today, Father, forgive them. You will be with me in paradise. Forgive them. You will be with me today. Today, Father, forgive my God. They know not what they do. Why have you forgiven me? Why have you forsaken me? Today, Father, forgive my God. They know not what they do. Why have you forsaken me? Why have you forsaken me? I thirst. Today, Father, forgive my God. They know not what they do. Forgive them. Why have you forsaken me? Today, Father, forgive my God. They know not what they do. Forgive them. Why have you forsaken me? Today, Father, forgive my God. They know not what they do. Forgive them. I can wait this path forsaken me. Today, Father, forgive my God. They know not what they do. Forgive them. They know this path forsaken me. Today, you will be with me in paradise. You will be with me
It's 9 a.m. and the nail is going in right now. Luke 23:33. When they came to the place that is called the skull, there they crucified him, and the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. And Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Here at 9 a.m., the execution is just beginning, but the torture has been going on for hours at this point. A sham overnight trial, a mockery of justice, a flogging at the hands of brutal Roman soldiers, a flogging. It's a whip with bits of bone and metal attached to it to rip the back to shreds, basically a meat grinder on Jesus' back. Jeering, insults, a cruel crown of thorns twisted together, pressed into his skull. A long, exhausting march towards execution. And now, the nails. And Jesus' response, Father, forgive them. As nails are splitting the nerve, as excruciating pain is ripping through his body, as he is being hoisted up in the air to slowly suffocate in his blood, the words out of Jesus' mouth, forgive them, Father. They don't know what they're doing. The logic of Jesus' statement there always puzzled me. Forgive them because they don't know what they're doing, as if that's an excuse for the greatest crime in history, the murder of the innocent, holy Son of God. How could innocence be an excuse? If I get pulled over for speeding, I can't say, officer, I didn't know what the speed limit was. Ignorance is not an excuse, and yet Jesus pleads for the soldiers executing him. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Here's why. This isn't a logical statement of acquittal. Father, forgive them because they have some excuse. No, what this is empathy. Empathy from the heart of Jesus as he's being executed. Empathy in the midst of agony as he sees these soldiers just doing their job. And his heart of compassion, which even now is bleeding out of the wounds that they caused. He sees them and he sees their ignorance and he has compassion. He's Father. They have no idea what they're doing. Have mercy on them. What a Savior this is. Who is this who bleeds compassion? Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
The place mercy reigns, never dies. There's the place where streams of grace flow deep and wide. Where all the love I've ever found comes like a flood, comes flowing down. At the cross, surrender.
Luke 23:39. One of the criminals who was hanged railed at him, saying, "Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we are receiving the due reward of our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong." And that criminal hanging on the cross turned to Jesus and said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus said to him, "Truly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." An extraordinary statement of faith and an extraordinary act of clemency. Extraordinary faith for this criminal hanging next to Jesus, both being executed, to look at this bloody pulp of a man and somehow think he's inheriting a kingdom. And yet, through the eyes of faith, the lights go on, and this man in his final hours sees, maybe it was he saw Jesus' compassion on the soldiers. Maybe he's heard Jesus teaching before. He sees how Jesus is responding, and the dots are connected in his heart. He puts the whole picture together, and he sees this is Jesus' triumph. This innocent man is not being executed. He's inheriting a kingdom. He's being enthroned. Jesus, remember me. And Jesus' response, lifted up the king on his throne, a wooden cross, an extraordinary act of clemency. Pardon. Pardon at the very precipice of death. How Satan must have raged to not only see his triumph slipping through his fingers as Jesus conquers death and hell, but then to have death's victim hanging next to the king, snatched to safety from the very gates of hell. How Satan must have raged to have lost yet another victim. And so even as all of the malice of hell is descending on Jesus, Satan can't even keep his own captives secure. And as Jesus is expiring, he is still setting prisoners free. John 19:25. Standing by the cross of Jesus were his mother, and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. And when Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved, John, standing nearby, he said to his mother, "Woman, behold your son." And he said to the disciple John, "Behold your mother." And from that hour, the disciple took her into his own home. As Jesus is dying, he's making arrangements for his mom to be cared for. That's what's happening in this moment. Jesus, as the oldest son, and by this point it seems that Joseph, his adopted father, was no longer in the picture. He probably died at some point before this, because Jesus, as the oldest son, now has responsibility for his widowed mother. And as he is dying, his heart is still all about other people. His mom. Can you imagine the emotional agony of Mary? Perhaps no other agony rivals the agony of Jesus himself except his mother. And her own heart breaking, and as the prophecy said, a sword piercing her soul too. And to Jesus' dying breath, we see him focused on the good of others, making sure his mom is taken care of. John, this is your mother now. Mary, John's going to take good care of you. And he does. Jesus dying, focused on others. This is what love looks like.